In 2025, former President Donald Trump imposed a series of tariffs targeting the auto industry, with the stated goal of reviving American manufacturing and protecting domestic jobs. These tariffs encompassed a wide range of vehicles and components, significantly impacting both domestic production and global trade relationships. The tariffs were met with mixed reactions, with some stakeholders, particularly within the U.S. auto industry, initially welcoming the move as a necessary step to counter decades of decline. However, the tariffs also sparked concerns about potential price hikes for consumers and retaliatory measures from trading partners. Trump's decision to impose tariffs stemmed from his belief that unfair trade practices, particularly from China, had led to the hollowing out of the American manufacturing sector, including the auto industry. He argued that tariffs were essential to level the playing field and encourage companies to bring production back to the United States. The tariffs were part of Trump's broader protectionist trade agenda, which aimed to reduce the U.S. trade deficit and promote domestic industries. The auto tariffs were implemented in stages, starting with a 10% baseline tariff on affected imports on April 5, 2025. This was followed by a more significant 25% tariff on auto imports, raising concerns among dealers about potential price increases and their impact on sales. Some dealerships resorted to promoting tariff-free cars from pre-tariff inventory to mitigate the impact. Trump's decision to impose tariffs immediately sent shockwaves through the global auto industry and beyond. Trading partners, particularly China, threatened retaliatory measures, raising fears of a trade war. The tariffs also highlighted the interconnected nature of the global supply chain, with companies across various sectors bracing for potential disruptions and cost increases. The following sections will delve deeper into the specific impacts of these tariffs on various stakeholders, the ensuing trade war, and the broader economic consequences. The impact of Trump's auto tariffs on U.S. manufacturing was far from uniform, resulting in both wins and losses for different players in the industry. While the tariffs aimed to bolster domestic production and create jobs, the reality proved more complex, with some companies benefiting while others faced significant challenges. The United Auto Workers, a key stakeholder in the auto industry, initially supported the tariffs, viewing them as a corrective measure for the decline in U.S. manufacturing since the implementation of NAFTA in 1993-94. UAW President Shawn Fain acknowledged the mixed effects of the tariffs, citing examples such as General Motors moving production back to Indiana as a positive outcome. However, he also pointed to instances like Stellantis, another major automaker, ordering layoffs despite the tariffs. These contrasting outcomes highlighted the difficulty in predicting the precise impact of such protectionist measures on a complex industry like auto manufacturing. The tariffs did lead to some instances of reshoring, with companies like GM bringing back production to the U.S. to avoid the import levies. However, these gains were often offset by job losses in other areas, as companies adjusted their supply chains and production strategies to cope with the changing trade landscape. Moreover, the tariffs contributed to increased costs for automakers, who relied on imported parts and materials. This put pressure on their profit margins and forced them to make difficult decisions regarding pricing, production levels, and employment. While some companies absorbed these increased costs, others passed them on to consumers in the form of higher prices, potentially dampening demand. The ultimate impact of the tariffs on U.S. manufacturing remained a subject of debate, with supporters pointing to isolated successes, while critics highlighted the broader economic consequences and the uneven distribution of benefits and burdens. Trump's auto tariffs ignited a trade war with China and other trading partners, who viewed the measures as protectionist and harmful to their own economies. China responded with retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods, including a 125% tariff on automobiles, significantly impacting American companies exporting to the Chinese market. This tit-for-tat exchange escalated tensions and created uncertainty for businesses operating in the global economy. Despite the escalating trade war, both the U.S. and China expressed openness to negotiations, albeit with conditions. Trump aimed for a very good deal that would address his concerns about unfair trade practices, while China demanded respect as a prerequisite for meaningful talks. These conditions highlighted the deep mistrust and fundamental disagreements at the heart of the trade dispute, making a swift resolution unlikely. The trade war had far-reaching consequences, disrupting global supply chains, raising prices for consumers, and creating uncertainty for businesses. Companies operating in various sectors, from agriculture to technology, felt the impact of the tariffs and retaliatory measures. The trade war also highlighted the interconnectedness of the global economy, demonstrating how actions taken by one country could have ripple effects across the world. The uncertainty surrounding the trade war and the potential for further escalation cast a shadow over the global economic outlook. Businesses delayed investments, consumers held back on spending, and financial markets experienced volatility as investors grappled with the potential fallout. The trade war underscored the importance of international cooperation and the need for a rules-based trading system to ensure stability and prosperity in the global economy. The broader economic consequences of Trump's auto tariffs extended beyond the immediate impact on the U.S. manufacturing sector and global trade relations. The tariffs contributed to increased prices for consumers, as automakers passed on at least some portion of the added costs. This, in turn, could potentially dampen consumer spending, a key driver of economic growth. Furthermore, the tariffs fueled uncertainty in the business community, leading to delayed investments and potentially slowing down job creation. While the full extent of the tariffs' impact on the U.S. economy is still unfolding, some economists argue that they could lead to job losses in industries reliant on imported goods, offsetting any potential gains in domestic manufacturing. Moreover, the tariffs could harm U.S. competitiveness in the long run by increasing costs for businesses and discouraging innovation. Despite the potential for negative consequences, Trump remained committed to his protectionist trade policies, arguing that they were necessary to protect American jobs and interests. However, the tariffs faced criticism from various quarters, including some business groups and lawmakers who argued that they were counterproductive and harmful to the U.S. economy. The future of Trump's auto tariffs remains uncertain. While some experts believe that they could be rolled back or modified as part of a broader trade deal, others argue that they could become a permanent fixture of the U.S. trade landscape. The outcome will likely depend on a complex interplay of political and economic factors, including the outcome of future elections and the state of the global economy. Regardless of their ultimate fate, Trump's auto tariffs serve as a stark reminder of the importance of trade policy and its potential to shape the global economy and the lives of people around the world. If you found this video informative, don't forget to subscribe below for more daily industry auto news and car reviews.